once he gets back in here, I'll re-add him. This is fun. I like this. Round 2, Grayson. I'm waiting for it to say his name. Where's he at? Oh, there it is. All right, I see it. Yeah, I have homework to do too, dude.
It must have kicked it.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to go over an hour.
So weird
on Instagram. Yeah, it's annoying. I hate that it does that. But anyway, I don't know where exactly you were, but
I was saying, like, when I challenge someone's belief, I'm not challenging you to say stop believing. I mean, although in my videos I do, like, I really, it's for clicks. I'm not getting clicks right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On my TikTok, I'm getting clicks, I'm getting likes, I'm getting watches, I'm getting views, I'm getting duets. And controversy generates traffic.
It's yellow paper journalism, dude.
Yeah, but like when I say, why do you believe this? You know, I'm not saying stop it. I'm not saying stop believing what you believe. I'm saying think about what you believe, why you believe this versus why you believe in why Christianity instead of Islam, or why Christianity instead of Mithras or Odin or Wotan.
I think the only sense of religious belief that can be morally silenced and shut down is any form of radicalism. If you have beliefs in religion that cause you to harm other people in any way, that is the kind of belief that can be morally denied, and essentially you can say, no, stop believing that because it's not true, because it violates basic moral principles. So I totally agree with you and see that Christian or Islamic or any radicalism in the name of anything is wrong. And so, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with challenging people to think more clearly about their beliefs and know why they believe things. I think there are a lot of Christians in this world who believe things or say they believe things with no idea of why, no foundation of those beliefs. So I think good on you, right, for being willing to ponder that and think about the things that most people aren't asking themselves, because that's important. And I think, honestly, those kinds of questions lead you either to deeper faith or to remove yourself from faith. And you can see in us how that has led to two different conclusions, because I put myself where I told myself that I was not going to have blind faith, and I think the Bible calls us to have blind faith, right? So
yeah, I don't think the Bible does. Everyone says, "Oh, the Bible says." Everyone says, "Oh, you have to believe blindly." No, I don't believe so, and I'm an atheist. I mean, if you're going to believe in the claims of the Bible, you don't have to do it blindly. In fact, James says, "Always be ready to give a reason for your belief."
Yeah, First Peter,
yeah. Peter, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. Why don't you know your Bible better? I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I didn't write it down.
I think that it's not about blind belief. And I think that we have I made it my goal to know why I believe what I believe. That I wasn't going to believe something if I couldn't find any evidence for it, at least in the Bible or in the world. And so, I had faith, and I was following Jesus before I came across all the evidence, and was fascinated by where we can observe at least evidence of a deity. And I wasn't that was something that I became fascinated with after my salvation experience. And that's why I started reading books and reading articles and all that stuff, and just trying to tackle these questions and figure out what I really believe. But faith came first for me. And I think that really just asking those kinds of questions can lead to there's two different roads. It leads to two different destinations, either no faith or deeper faith. And I think that we are two examples of
where that diverged.
Yes.
Because again, faith came first for you, faith came first for me. Because I grew up Catholic. A little history. I grew up Catholic, but it was only incidental. My grandparents were Catholic, My dad went to a Catholic school, but excuse me, apart from my grandparents, religion was never brought up. I think my parents were more like apathists. If you don't know what that is, it's somebody who just doesn't care. You know, they don't consider it. They don't think about it. And it never came up. Except, so, I mean, I was christened, or not christened, whatever you call it. I did my first communion, whatever. And then around 8 years old, 9 years old, I just quit going to Catholic church. It was boring. So boring. And then around senior year in high school, I was kept for a detention. Excuse me, I have gas. I was kept for a detention, and I had to stay with my English teacher because that was my last period. And after my detention was over, a group of people were coming in, and I asked them what this was. They said it was a student-led Bible study, and I knew the guy who was leading it, so I stayed, and I went to church with them, and I ended up converting to Christianity around the age of 18. And then I went all in. And when I joined the Navy, I wanted to become a religious program specialist, which is someone who works under the chaplain directly, but there were no billetings for it. So I ended up just taking a regular billet, and I did ministry as my secondary. What do they call it? And it wasn't my main job. It's just every Sunday, if there wasn't a chaplain, I was chosen by the chaplain because of my knowledge of the Bible to lead services in their absence, because we almost never had a chaplain because we were a very small ship. And so it was my job to write the sermons, to deliver the sermons, to decide what songs we're going to play, to pick who was going to be involved. I could not marry anyone. I couldn't do funerals, and I couldn't give out communion. That was about it. And then, like, logic led you deeper in, and logic led me out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's fair. I'm not going to, like, criticize you for coming to a different conclusion than me. And I think that where I stand now, that I'm confident I'll never walk away from the faith because of where I stand and the impact it's had on my life. I know that, like, my faith is the root of everything for me. It is the source of my thinking, my beliefs, the way I interact with people, the things I do, the way I'm going to lead my life in the future. It is the foundation of everything. And I know that I lead a more joyful, a more peaceful life because of the beliefs I have. People always talk about how, again, back to the anecdotes about how, your testimony or your story of your life is always a great evidence. And of course, because none of it can be verified, and sure, maybe I just found something that gives me hope, even though it's really just sweet nothings. Sure, you can argue that. But I'll come confidently with the assertion that it's more than that, and that I was a church kid too, and I thought I was devout, and I thought I was following Christ, and I thought I was fulfilling all the religious standards that I needed to, but it wasn't until later on that I realized I was wrong about who I really was and what I was really following and all of that. And it wasn't until I came to a truer, deeper understanding of what Christianity was, who Jesus is, and what a relationship with God actually means, that my faith became
I'm sorry.
real.
They're calling my son now.
I'm sorry. That's so annoying.
Like, yeah, I'm going to just turn, I'm sorry, I got to turn my son's phone off. He's asleep.
No worries. Yeah, that's so annoying. That's an ironic song to play, is the
Honey, I got to turn your phone off. I don't know how to turn your phone off.
Down.
Okay.
This is the power button.
Here, you do it. Good grief, they're not going to stop. Just turn your phone off.
See this power button right
Yeah. Brilliant. All right, just turn your phone off.
Make me a believer.
Yeah,
that's an ironic song for the
it is.
for the
It's very,
ringtone.
very ironic. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know how they got his phone number of all things, but it drives me. Like, if you want to troll me, whatever. I'm a grown person. I'll just block you, whatever. But he's 11
Yeah.
and he's asleep. It's midnight. Just, honey, turn off your phone, okay? Huh? Yeah, you can go lay in my room, okay? Sorry.
Yeah, that's frustrating. But
Like, I don't believe in like absolute good and evil, but if I did, that would be pretty fucking evil. Sorry, I swore in your live, but
no, it's okay. No worries. They can handle it. They'll be okay. I think I don't know. I feel like I was gonna say something else, but it's whatever. And I don't remember. Well, I really enjoyed this conversation. Oh, I remember. I was talking about you made the claim in one of your videos that, if I was born in the Middle East, then I would be a Muslim. If I was born in deep in India, I would be a Hindu. If I was born in where's Buddhism or Buddhism
Tibet.
In Japan, yeah. I learned about all this stuff in AP Art History about all the different forms of Buddhism, so I should know this stuff. But again, like if I was, or if maybe if I was Japanese, I'd be Shinto or whatever. That I would have those beliefs because of the region, and the Japanese one is understandable because there's not a lot of Christianity there, or anything other than Buddhism and Shintoism. But now that is where I have to disagree. I think now I can. Well, first of all, for America, I don't think being born in America makes someone automatically Christian. I think we have to.
No, but it makes it a whole lot easier.
Okay, that's understandable because there's no, being born in the Western society. I understand that because most Western societies were built upon biblical morality.
Plus, it is the dominant religion in Western culture.
Right.
For now.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, for now.
Because Islam is growing.
Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world right now. And I totally agree with you on that. That it's much easier to be a Christian in America, or at least born into a household that goes to church. But again, I think I have a different functioning definition of what a Christian is. Because I believe that there's a difference between someone who's really following Jesus and a nominal person. Right? I think when it comes to religious demographics, it's hard to make an actual estimation of who really is Christian. In fact, the Bible itself says that, in Matthew 7 for me is probably the scariest chapter in the whole Bible, and it just talks about how one day people will stand before God and they'll say that they knew him or that they did things in his name or whatever, and he'll say, "I never knew you," because they weren't really following him. And it talks about how there are far fewer people following God really than people who are not. It talks about the narrow path and the broad path, and how the narrow path is hard and it is difficult to find, and there are few that find it. And so I think Bible statistically tells us that more people are non-Christian than the other. I also think you can look at, for example, in Iran, the fastest growing religion in Iran right now is actually Christianity. The Christian church in Iran is one of the healthiest churches in the world. It's built mostly upon actually Iranian women, but men are becoming a much larger part of it. I think it's definitely hard to measure how popular Christianity is because of for example, like in North Korea, there may be Christians there, but we can never know because they identify as 100% atheist because they're communist. Same thing in China, in some areas of China, places like that, where we can't actually measure the exact demographics of those areas and how prevalent different religions actually are there. Again, most Middle Eastern nations are under Sharia law and will say that they are a strictly Muslim country, but the underground churches there that are operating secretly are something that we can't exactly measure. Now, I think if you're born in a Christian family in the Middle East, again, even if they're operating secretly, you're likely and susceptible to become a Christian as well. But the Iranian church now, the thousands that are joining were Muslims that were converted. I think that a conversion experience from one religion to another is something that is far more common than it seems, and that geographical birthplace is not the only determining factor in religion, though I agree with you that it plays a role.
It's a really strong one, though.
Yeah.
I guess the better thing I ought to have said, in my opinion, would have been, you are more likely to be the religion your parents were. I mean, my parents, who knows what they were? They're dead. I can't ask them, but it never came up, so I have no idea. My grandparents were Catholic. Well, my grandfather was Catholic, and my grandmother converted to Catholicism for him. When they got married, she was a Salvation Armyist, or whatever you call them. She went to the Salvation Army Church, and then when I don't know what they believe, to be fair, but and then she married a Catholic and became a Catholic. But if you're born into a Hindu family, you're likely going to be Hindu, and it's more likely.
Yeah, because there is a heavy emphasis upon the family life in Hinduism.
And if you're born into a country where Hindu is the majority religion, like India, it's more likely you're going to be a Hindu. That's where you get 60 seconds, to be fair, and I apologize. It's a horrible excuse.
No, I know, I totally get that. I get people.
But if you were born in Saudi Arabia, it's more likely that you're going to be born to Muslim parents, ergo you're more likely to be a Muslim. I guess I could say that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I just don't like to look at that as that being like the only determining factor, which I know you weren't claiming that, and I guess the 60-second confinement totally plays a role in that. But again, because I look at what I look at it as, and the common Christian saying is that God doesn't have grandchildren, and so it's the idea is that you cannot be like grandfathered into a religion, and that because I believe in that Christianity is a genuine one-on-one relationship with Jesus, it cannot be found through family line. So like, my parents may be saved, but that does not inherently mean that I will be too.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that claim, and I think it falls in line with your Bible too. But what I'm saying is, it's more likely that you would be converted to the religion of your parents through I don't want to say indoctrination because that sounds disrespectful, but teaching. I'll say teaching.
I mean, I definitely think that my conversion experience would have been more challenging if I was born to a Muslim family than having been born to the Christian family that I'm in now. So I definitely agree with you. I totally understand that.
If your parents were Muslim, in fact, if your parents were atheist, it was still likely that you would become a Christian. But if your parents are Christian, it's almost impossible you're going to be a Muslim. I mean, it's possible, but it's far less likely. Yeah. Whereas if your parents are Muslim, you could become a Christian, but you better not tell them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of Muslim conversion is like not happening. Like, there's not a lot of Muslim conversion happening in America. I mean, I think you can see it happening. I mean, there's always forced conversion, but there's a lot of the reason why Islam is becoming the largest religion is because they're multiplying, like procreating so much.
Well, in fact, that's what somebody said to me. Somebody DM'd me, a Muslim DM'd me on Instagram. I apologize for everything, but they're like, well, whatever. I'm like, what do you think our goal in life is? I'm like, to have 1 million babies. I'm like, you want a lot of babies so you can grow your religion. That's literally what I told her, and she stopped DMing me. But
I'm like, funny things. So, but yeah, that was basically my only other objection. But I totally understand where you're coming from on that one. Yeah, that's it. This was.
But I mean, all of the philosophy I know. I never went to school for it. I was going to be a teacher for a hot minute. I went to school to be an elementary special ed teacher, and then my son was born, and I dropped out. This was almost 12 years ago, and I never went back. So all of the philosophy I do know is because I've read books on, I didn't have a teacher to guide me or teach me. I just, like, I read Nietzsche, or I read Jung, or, you know what I mean? And I listened to people like Dr. Peterson. I actually love Dr.
Well, I can say the same thing for, like, my understanding of religion didn't come to light until I started reading from theologians and listening to pastors.
Like I just before this discussion, I was watching a debate with Dr. Peterson and Sam Harris, who I love watching debates like that.
Are you familiar with Ravi Zacharias?
I listen to Ravi Zacharias all the time. Like, just so I could.
I think Christian or non-Christian, I think he's awesome that you can just appreciate just the logical formation of his arguments and you grew up into and stuff. I actually heard him speak in January.
I often find Dr. Jordan Peterson to be a little pompous. Do you know who I'm talking about, Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I love that he does in a debate. There's you've heard of straw manning someone's argument. It's where but he doesn't do that. He will steel man someone's argument. He will literally say what they believe and be correct. Do you know what I mean? To steel man someone's argument is to argue their argument. Do you know what I mean? He will for the whole 10 minutes, he argued Sam Harris's argument correctly. Do you know what I mean? He said, you believe this, and to some degree we're on the same page, and you believe this. And I'm like, not many people will do that in a debate because they want to win, I mean, I disagreed with his premise, but I mean, he will steel man you. He will, not try to minimize your position to gain, favor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, last thing I'll say, because this is something I wanted to actually touch on, was I see the flag on your TikTok profile picture. So I know where you stand. I've talked a bit about with your beefs on with what some Christians have said, and I would say that there's no justification for the Christian or the churchgoer at least, or the religious person who stands with the sign saying things like "fags go to hell" and making assertions like that. That is disgusting to me, and that is not an argument I would formulate or make. And so I know we talked a bit about some of the Christian errors in talking about LGBTQ, and sorry, I'm getting rid of this person who's commenting the number. But
wait, somebody just comment my number?
Yeah, I'm removing them whenever they do it.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it's the two people back to back just did it. I removed them both. It's because I literally removed it as soon as they commented it.
Was it a 585?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my number.
But yeah, I remember them. But yeah, so I apologize on behalf of every Christian that you may have experienced hatred from, because that's not what we're supposed to be characterized by. Jesus commands that as his disciples we should be known by our love. And that's my goal, and that's what I think a lot of Christians' goals are, and I think they go about that wrong sometimes. And they have good intentions that just don't manifest well. But I've seen a couple of videos on TikTok of Christians on college campuses calling people prostitutes and just shaming people. And I think that is just not the way things go. That's not how it was. How we're made to teach.
The whole Caitlyn Bennett business. What? Why do you care? I mean, why do you care? I mean, you're there to go to the bathroom. But I mean, of course, I have a problem with any person of any side going up to someone and asking one of those kind of gotcha questions. I think it's stupid. Mark Dice does it a lot. Mark Dice. No. He's a YouTuber. I don't know. He's a conservative YouTuber, but any person of any political position or religion who just walks around with a microphone and tries to ask gotcha questions on the spot, you're a dick. Yeah. And then because I mean nobody is walking on the boardwalk thinking, hey, I'm going to have to answer, who was the 14th president. Nobody. I mean. Or what are your positions on X? Or what would you do if you saw? Listen, you're at the beach. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. But yeah, I just want to correct, Christian injustices, and I just want to. I know you know this, but just to reiterate the truth that Christians generally are not evil or against you, and I know that. Some people, I see in your comments sometimes, and I get upset because I watch Christians responding in just the worst possible ways, and I'm because they're being trolled, you're instigating them, you're getting them, and I'm guys, don't, you're giving them money once, you're feeding into that, just let his political videos cause mass chaos and anger.
And then what's more is they'll go after my son in the comments, and And it is Christians. It really is. And
I get crap from Christians too. I get hate from most of my hate comes from Christians. shockingly enough.
I don't find it shocking. I mean, because you might find an atheist once in a while in a comment be like, whatever. But I mean, the majority of, in my opinion, it's my opinion, the majority of the people, even on my own page, demonstrably, it's the majority is either conservatives or Christians. But I repeat myself. I mean,
that's where, like, for me, I was very, very deep in politics, but the issue was for a long time, and I'm not anymore. I've removed myself basically from politics. And the issue was that my politics were influencing my faith, whereas my understanding is that my faith should influence my politics. So what I believe politically is inspired by what I believe about the Bible and about Jesus.
I feel like even if I were a Christian, because I'm a socialist, politically, and I really do feel like if I were still a Christian today, it would influence me to remain on the left. You know, just based solely on the teachings of Jesus, ignoring like the entire Old Testament. Like if you just go on the teaching of Jesus, I really think it would push me to the left. I mean, I'm
Jesus' teachings in that area are really, he's talking about existing within the church, not within a whole society. So, but yeah, I know. I will say, back to like hate comments and stuff. Like my most comments, I will say I get overwhelmingly more love and like from people than hate. That they're really just Christians that get upset at my kind of teaching. But I mean, I do get atheists all the time that are just like, God is real, you're wasting your time, or you're fake, or you're an idiot, whatever. And like none of that stuff really gets to me, but I for sure get hate from both sides, and I get like respect from both sides. And so I don't like to say that like Christians are more hateful than non-Christians. I generally just think that we have sinful nature, and people do stupid things, and they say things that they'll regret, or they say things to get a rise.
Right. Because it's the internet.
That kind of saying. Yeah, no.
I'll notice, like, see if, I don't know if you've done this, but like a little observational study. Go through the comments, and all those, like the hateful comments, it's like the more hateful they get, like the more I realize, like I'll go to their page and they'll have like 4 fans and no videos. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they create
so they can. It's the power of anonymity, where they can just say whatever they want with no consequences because nobody knows who they are.
Like I won't comment them back, but like yesterday, I made somebody upset because I phoned them up because they said something about my son, and they had videos, and they used their real name, and I said, listen, if you ever say something about my son again, I'll break your legs. I'm like, you made the mistake of not being anonymous, and now I know where you live.
Yeah.
So you want to talk crap about me, talk crap about me, but you put my son's name in your mouth, I'll break your legs.
That's fatherly defense. Fair enough, dude. I'm not going to object to that.
I mean, I'm not really. But I wanted to give him just a moment of pause. You know?
Yeah, but I will say, like, I think even in your comments that I see more loving Christians than I do hateful Christians. Like, I see.
Well, that is true. I mean, there are a lot.
Like, I think there are a lot of. I think there are a lot of Christians on TikTok and in this comment section who, like, majority of the people commenting to leave your number alone are my Christian friends and people that I know and recognize as Christians. You know, I think that we don't want to be characterized as hateful, and that there are a lot of Christians on TikTok who I had a lot of Christians who were talking to me about, you know, this happening tonight and how excited they were, because they do watch your videos and they genuinely care about you. And like, you know, I think that I don't want you to walk away from this. And my goal from the beginning was I don't want to give you any means to be able to walk away from this and think, man, Christians suck, or Christians are stupid, or Christians are evil. That's why I didn't come to this thinking I got to win or I got to make them dumb. Whereas I simply want to come to a better understanding of what you believe, and I want you to have a better understanding of what I believe, and I want to be able to encourage you, no matter what. Well, I want to prove to you that what Christian character really looks like.
Well, I do strive to judge people based on the content of their character and not what they believe, because people can believe some crazy things and not act crazy about it. Do you know what I mean? Like anti-vaxxers, for example. I'm like, on every other area of their life, they're nice and polite and they talk. They just believe in something crazy. So like
I did a project on the anti-vax movement in my class, so it's interesting for sure.
It's a thing. I don't understand, but there's that. But like it really, like, as a nihilists tend to be more libertarian socially, not necessarily economically, but socially, at least in my opinion. Because I mean, you do whatever you want to do. My opinion is, if it makes you happy, you should do it, because all life is suffering, and whatever you can do to avoid that suffering for a moment, you should do. Like when people say in my comment section, I'm going to pray for you, I don't troll them. I say, if that makes you happy, then you should do that. You know, if you praying for me will make you feel happy, then by all means do that. Just don't expect a result. But sorry.
Yeah, I mean, my idea in regards to that is that, like, people don't know what happiness or joy is, or you can't know truly, and I know this is, you may not agree with this, but you can't truly know what happiness is apart from Jesus. And that's what I believe. And so that's why I believe in evangelism, is because I know that I believe that people in this world are lost. And that, I forget the teacher who said it, but basically asserted that all of mankind has a God-shaped vacuum in their heart that they try and fill with other things. And so they do things that try and make them happy, but it doesn't. And only God can do that for them. And so we differ there, but I see where you're coming from. I'm definitely not like I want people to be depressed, but my view is that I do want people to be happy. Therefore, I want them to know who Jesus is.
Right.
So it definitely leads to two different conclusions.
Yeah. My thoughts on evangelism is this: like I always 100% of the time let the Mormons in my house. Like when they come and knock on my door, 100% of the time I let them in. Well, first of all, because they're polite. The most polite people I have ever met. Like almost overly polite, like they're trying too hard. But I always let them in because they're young and they don't know any better. And I argue Mormonism isn't Christianity. But
it's not. I argue the same thing.
But I also argue Catholicism isn't Christianity. But it really doesn't matter to me either way. But there's that. But no, I let them in because they're young, and I'll listen to their shtick. I have a Book of Mormon I've read. And then because you listen to them, you give them your however long. I give them a cup of coffee, and then they'll listen to you. You know, I'm going to listen. This is why I don't believe this way, and they're respectful. They are the most respectful sect of Christianity. I do that because I don't think they're Christians, but in my opinion. But yeah, like evangelism, like these street preachers that come up to you on with a bullhorn, like, please go away. That you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I think there's definitely right and wrong to evangelism. I've been having this conversation with my buddies lately, and it's just that, that kind of street preaching may have been effective, 30 years ago, but our culture has changed. What we believe about those kinds of things has changed, and people essentially shove themselves and fit themselves into a caricature of Christians when they do that. And I think that, for me, my dream is one day to like sit down at a table on a college campus, sort of like what Steven Crowder does, just not about politics, and say, Jesus is real or whatever. Let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation, because I think people are much more open to having conversation than me shouting at them, telling them to believe something.
Right.
Sure, that might work for someone, but generally people are going to look at that and say, that guy's crazy, or that guy's judgmental, or that guy's bad, or whatever, because of the caricature of Christians doing that. So even if they're not being mean or they're not being judgmental, they're doing something different, the way they present themselves, the tone they carry will lead to people making prejudgments. Or
in my opinion, I get put off by those kind of people a lot. Like, it just puts me off, the idea of talking to them ever again. But like, if I'm having a coffee with someone and I know they're a Christian, and you just casually bring it up, I'll be like, yeah, probably not. And you don't push it. And the problem is, in my opinion, Christians don't know when to Elsa let it go. Do you know what I mean? You get once. I'll give you once, and then you didn't get me. Let it go. Let it go. Talk about whatever you want. Talk about the football game. Talk about baseball. Talk about whatever, anything else. You've had your once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a video.
You don't get twice.
Like if you know who Penn and Teller are.
I love Penn and Teller.
Right.
I love Penn and Teller. Penn Gillette.
Penn. Right. Okay. So there's the video.
Actually, Gillette started talking. Gillette started talking. He was in Big Bang Theory. Funny enough, not that it's relevant, but I finally get to hear his voice in the Big Bang Theory, the final season.
Wait. So which one's the big one?
Penn Gillette. He actually lost 150 pounds, but yeah, Penn Gillette.
Okay. So he basically made it. They're both very openly atheist. And he made a video talking about how this guy that they used as a volunteer for one of the shows came one of the other nights with a small Bible and with a note written to him in there. And he starts talking about how amazing he thought that was because he looks at it as getting upset to know about what Christians believe about the afterlife and about hell and about heaven and all those things, how much you hate someone as a Christian to not proselytize, right? Like if I genuinely believe that someone will go to hell if they're not in right standing with God by the grace of Jesus Christ, then I must hate them for me to not say anything to them. And so I think that is the Christian motivation and the causation of urgency when it comes to proselytization. I know often we can be obnoxious with it, and that's fair enough. But I think that's where it comes from, and I don't think it comes out of a heart of like trying to be annoying, but really just trying to make a change in people's lives and say the thing that people need to hear. Well,
it's like the Apostle Paul said, "Be all things to all men." Yeah. And you have to find out how to. Even Paul said this. Like you have to know the person. Like, which is why I don't think street evangelism, I think, is just silly in my opinion because you don't know the person.
Yeah, we have a relational culture. We definitely have a relational culture. What I've learned about is that you contextualize the gospel. Right? Like you don't change the gospel, but you emphasize certain parts based on who you're talking to. So if I'm talking to someone who grew up without a dad, then I will talk about how the Bible refers to God as Father. Or I'm talking to someone who's addicted to drugs. I talk about how the gospel offers freedom, et cetera, et cetera. But that involves me knowing that person and knowing their boundaries and knowing who they are. And so I definitely think we have a relational culture. And I think even you can share the gospel with someone you've never met. And then, it's like your first time, but it's never going to be from shouting at them and that kind of thing. But yeah. Anyway, this was a really, really awesome conversation. I'm glad we got to sit down. I'm really sorry people are calling you. That's honestly really obnoxious. And I know we talked about prayer earlier. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe that God answers prayers, that He's all powerful. Even if you don't, if you would give me the honor of letting me pray for you.
If it makes you happy.
It will make me happy.
Brilliant.
I just want to pray for you just a couple minutes real quick, and then...
I will close my eyes and be silent.
All right. Awesome. I'll let you rest. All right. So I'm going to pray. And I would encourage all my Christians in here, y'all can pray too, because it makes us happy, guys. It makes us happy. All right. Heavenly Father, God, I just pray for, I'm calling him Heisenberg because it just feels more natural. God, I just pray for him, and I thank you for this opportunity for us to be able to sit down and talk. God, I thank you for the intelligent mind you've given him, the ability to look at logic and reasoning. It's not common, and I thank you for just for the intellect that you've given him that is outstanding and just not something we see in a lot of people today. I thank you for his willingness to be open about what he believes. I find it hard, and I know many Christians find it hard to search out and to really understand the atheist view. And so, God, I thank you for giving him the love in his heart to be able to talk to me about this tonight. I thank you for all of his questions and his curiosities. I thank you for just again for this conversation. Lord, I pray that you would get these people to stop calling him. Put an end to that. That's really obnoxious, and you know it is, and it's coming out of the maliciousness of people's hearts, and it's just evil. So, God, I pray that people would leave him alone, and especially leave his son alone. God, that people would stop pestering or commenting about his son or calling his son God. I pray that you would help him to be a more effective, a better father. He would grow in being able to take care of a son. I pray for both of their health. I pray for their financial prosperity, God, that you would just bless them if it be your will, and take care of them. God, I just pray that if it be your will and if it makes him happy, that you will reveal your love to him and just show him that you've never abandoned him, that you've never not loved him, that you specifically created him with the exact image that you gave that intelligence for your glory. And so, God, if it be your will, let this conversation that comes to some fruition. Lord, I just thank you again for this opportunity. I thank you that we're alive and well and safe. In Jesus' name, amen. Dude, thanks so much for talking to me. It was awesome getting to know you better and being able to go through this discourse and all that. Again, that really sucks. People are leaking your number. If the chat is in here, I'm probably not going to. I'll send you the clip, but I'm not going to upload it if your phone number's in it, because that will just make things worse. But if you got a new number, let me know, and then I'll upload it.
Yeah, I might have to change my number. But here's the thing: when I do, within a couple weeks, it'll end up, because it's all public record. Like if I know someone's real name and about where they live and about how old they are, it takes 30 seconds, because that's the world we live in now. So it'll take some time to update, but they'll be able to find it. So that's why I don't change my number.
Even still, you'll have a different number, so I can upload it then, and then that number will be ineffective for people to try and troll you with. But yeah, I'm gonna continue to pray for you and your son, and I know there's stuff happening at school and all that. And so, yeah, just for y'all be in my prayers, because it makes me happy. And it was really, really awesome to get to talk to you. Yeah, it was cool. I hope that everyone watching can have a greater respect for you, seeing you outside of the trolling. But yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, to be fair, anyone listening, I'm not gonna stop trolling, because it gets.
I wasn't expecting the trolling to
It
go
gets
away.
action. It gets action. Although I did lose 10,000 followers in the last month. 10,000. But who has so many fans that they can say I lost 10,000 and not really worry about it? So,
all right,
like
dude.
Yeah.
Have an awesome night. I got to go do my homework because it's almost 12 in the morning. But it's all right.
You know how I feel about that.
Dude, I agree. Dude, homework sucks. I think it should be gone. But yeah, dude, it was awesome talking to you. Much love, and hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Brilliant.
Later.
Bye.
Bro, y'all send him some love. As you can see, he's not evil. Don't characterize him as evil. Y'all are awesome. Thanks for coming out and joining and talking to me and being in the chat. Y'all do your homework too. I'm probably going to slap on some Brooklyn Nine-Nine and get to working. I love you. Jesus loves you. And bye. I hope y'all enjoyed, because I did. It was really fun. Okay, bye.